Let me ask you something. When was the last time you walked into your local library? And not because someone made you to, and not because you needed Wi-Fi, just because you wanted to learn. Here's a harder question. What if I told you that one of the most powerful institutions in your city is probably the one you visit the least? Today we're talking about libraries, and not just buildings, the engines of civilization. Welcome back. I'm Law, author, speaker, consultant, board trustee at my local library. Proud to say that. And today I want to share something that's changed the way I see community. For most people think libraries loan books. They do. But libraries actually do more than that. They build people. Think about your hometown. When was the last time you stepped inside your public library? Months? Years? Never. Let me know below. I'm curious. No judgment. So our first reframe, right? We want to start changing our mindset. It's been one of our themes. Libraries aren't competing with Google. Let's get that out there, right? They're solving a completely different problem. Google gives you information. Libraries teach you how to use it. See the difference? One gives answers, the other develops thinkers. Information is everywhere. Wisdom still requires community. Where are my Game of Thrones fans? I see you. Game of Thrones, right? If you watched it. Do you remember the Citadel? The place where knowledge was collected, protected, copied, studied. The maesters were not warriors. They were record keepers, historians, scientists, teachers. Then there's Bran. By the end of the story, his greatest power wasn't strength. It wasn't politics. It wasn't war. Do you remember what his power was? Power was memory. He carried the history of humanity, and he understood what others had forgotten. History became leadership, and that's what libraries do. They preserve memory, so future generations don't have to start over. Now let's connect this to civic duty. Every city has roads. Every city has schools. Every city has police. Every city has parks. But one place exists to connect every generation. That is your library. Library connects teachers, teenagers, college students, parents, entrepreneurs, retirees, veterans, new immigrants, artists, readers, job seekers. Everyone belongs. Everyone is accepted. Everyone can thrive at the library. Now, the library isn't about books, although they house many books. Let's collectively break that myth. Libraries are no longer quiet rooms filled with dusty books with the librarian with the glasses that's shh. We all seen, if you're my age at least, TV shows and cartoons that depict such a theme. Libraries are not that. Libraries are innovation centers, business incubators, meeting spaces, technology hubs, market spaces, financial literacy classes, resume workshops, tax preparation, language learning, children's programming, music, art, community conversations. I can go on and on and on and on. And in many cities, the library is the most democratic institution in town. And why is that? Because when you enter into a library, how much money you make does not matter. Did you know that your library offered more than books? Be honest. And I'm also curious, what's one service that you would love your local library to provide? Drop it in the comments. You never know who's watching. Now to my entrepreneurs, my business owners, this one's for you. Do you need a meeting space to handle your business? Do you need research databases, market information? Do you need grant resources, networking events, workshops? Did you know many libraries already provide these? If you were to join our local library, they have these state-of-the-art office spaces. Glass doors and glass windows, soundproof, beautiful place to have a meeting. I learned today that they actually have softwares for nonprofits to where as soon as you go and enter into the library and tap into their Wi-Fi, you're able to access a portal that they have for nonprofits to seek grant funding. Again, these resources are right there. And They are free. One of the greatest resources for entrepreneurs is often 3 miles away, unused. Are you tapping into that resource? And what about AI? Let's talk about artificial intelligence. People ask me, will AI replace libraries? And the answer is simple: never. Why is that? Because AI needs informed people. AI can generate information, but it cannot replace judgment. So what's the purpose of having information if there aren't humans to use the information and to use discernment? And libraries teach discernment. Libraries teach critical thinking, research, media literacy. Those skills become more valuable, not less, in an AI world. I was consulting with a small business this week, and the woman, she nailed it. Her business, while it may seem like it's this particular niche, she was like, we're just a tool, but the business and the skill and why we're so successful is how we're able to use this tool. She's like, everyone uses a screwdriver, but not everyone uses a screwdriver the same way. The same applies with AI. AI is a tool, and if we use it the right way, man, how much it can excel much in our life. The future doesn't belong to people with the most information. It belongs to people who know how to evaluate it. Now, some may wonder, Law, what does this have to do with erotic intelligence? I think you know my answer by now. Everything. Erotic intelligence is about becoming deeply aware. Libraries cultivate awareness. Presence begins with curiosity. Communication begins with listening. Growth begins with learning. And every healthy relationship starts with understanding. Libraries teach that habit. Now think about this. Every book, right, is someone enunciating their needs. Like how I did that, right? Every book is someone enunciating their observations, their discoveries, their mistakes, their hopes. Books are conversations across generations, across ethnicities, across regions, across ideologies. The author speaks, the reader listens, then the reader grows. That's communication at civilization's highest level. I know many of us, it almost seems as if we can't remember a world without the internet. But if we really think about it, and we don't have to think too hard, the internet is still rather new. And what an awesome gift that we have on the internet, to where we can have access to such information so readily and so easily accessible. But did you know, in some parts of this country, there are still many folks that do not have that access, or at least they don't have the access so freely. I learned today that our computer usage is actually up 34%, which is letting us know that there are many people within our area that do not have access to either good internet, or devices to access the internet. And people are seeking knowledge and seeking information. Again, another reason why libraries are so necessary and valuable. Now, what about the history, right? When we think of history, history isn't just something to memorize. It's feedback. It's humanity saying, okay, we've been here before. We don't want to repeat. Like, every generation believes it's facing brand new problems, but usually they're ancient problems wearing modern clothes. It reminds me of that saying, you can't really know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And that's where history comes in, bars. Libraries helps us recognize patterns. And then the wisdom and the discernment allows us to choose and do differently. Serving on my local library board has reminded me of something. It's actually reminded me of much, but it has reminded me that communities don't become stronger by accident. No, they become stronger because people quietly dedicate themselves to preserving opportunities for everybody else. Not for applause, not for recognition, for legacy. That's leadership and stewardship. The strength of a civilization isn't measured by what it consumes. It's measured by what it chooses to preserve. Books, stories, languages, art, science, ideas, memory. Because once memory disappears, so does wisdom. We think of many families who have maybe the matriarch or the patriarch, the great-great-grandmother or the great-great-grandfather who's still alive. Once that person leaves, and if they have not passed down that family history, that family lineage, those traditions, those family values. In many ways, in many aspects, it's gone. They are walking, living library. And in our city, we have institutions. So I have a CTA for you this week, this month. Visit your local library, not because you need something, but because your community built something. Walk through the doors. Meet the staff, ask questions, attend the program. Our library has tons of program for all ages. I have another CTA for you. Get yourself a library card. It's free. Bring your children, bring your parents. Become part of your city's story. Libraries don't simply protect books. They protect possibility. I learned an amazing history that Frederick Douglass spoke at our local library. There's a local history room that has amazing content in it. And I'm sure your library can wow you too. When we think of how libraries protect possibilities, it affects everyone. Every entrepreneur, every reader, every child, every dream begins with access to an idea. And somewhere on a shelf or inside a conversation, that idea is waiting. A library doesn't preserve the past. It protects the future. Peace.